Alrighty, we're about to review Unit 7 because your test is next class, which is Wednesday, February 12th. Also, just a reminder that make sure you're in class on Friday, February 14th because we not only do test corrections, but we'll also start working on a major project. Number 1 wants us to convert the following standard form equation into vertex form. So let's find the vertex. Since it's in standard form, we know that A is 2, B is negative 12, and C is 3. So we already have A. Again, we need to find our vertex. To find our vertex, we find the x value using the axis of symmetry formula, which is x equals opposite B over 2A. Opposite of negative 12 is positive 12, and then A again is 2. So that's 12 over 4, which is 3. We then take 3 and replace all x values in the equation with 3. Make sure you show your work. You get to use a calculator, so when you use a calculator, make sure you enter it exactly like this if you want the correct answer. Without a calculator, we'd use your order of operations. So I would square 3, which is 9, and then 9 times 2 is 18. 12 times 3 is 36. 18 minus 36 is negative 18. Negative 18 plus 3 is negative 15. Therefore, my vertex has the coordinates 3, negative 15, which are the same as your h and k. So if we have h, k, and a, we can write our equation. So our equation would be y is equal to 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 15. Final answer in vertex form. Number 2 wants us to take the equation from vertex form to standard form. So the first thing I would do is expand this parentheses into 2 because it's squared. I then would distribute 4 into the first one and only one. You don't do both. I then would use double distribution or the box method to multiply these two sets of parentheses. So 4x times x would give me 4x squared. 4x times negative 2 is negative 8x. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times negative 2 is a positive 16. Bring down negative 7 or minus 7. Combine your like terms. 4x squared is alone. However, we have negative 8x, negative 8x, which gives me a negative 16x. We have a positive 16 and a negative 7, which would give me a positive 9. So here's my final answer in standard form. Don't forget y equals, sorry. Number 3 wants us to model the equation and find the missing value. So this is where we use quadratic regression. So we need a graphing calculator. So go to Stat, Edit. Make sure you have an L1 and an L2, which you should. If not, you need to come raise your hand and or see me so I can tell you what to do after that. Enter the x values in L1. Only enter the x values that have a y, and then put the y value that goes with that x in the next column, L2. Double check that you've entered all the numbers correctly. Double check that you have the same amount of x's as you do y's. So I have 4 x's, I should have 4 y's. Then go back to stat, calc 5, quad regression. You then want to tell the calculator to store the equation. So you go to alpha trace 1. Okay, 1's not an option on this calculator, but on yours it should. And then go to calculate and hit enter. If you have a long decimal, please round to the hundredths place. So I have A is 0.6, B is -2, and C is 7. So write down what you see. 0.6, B is -2, I think that's what I said, and C is 7. Let's double check. Yes. So now write the equation properly. So that is y is equal to 0.6x squared minus 2x plus 7. Box that. That's the equation that was asked for. You then need to find the missing value. So we're going to replace all of our x values in the equation with 15. But remember, I told you you don't have to put it into the calculator like that. But if you forget the steps I told you, then yes, enter it into the calculator exactly like this. But for everybody else, go back to our calculator, hit alpha, trace 1 for you, and then parentheses, put whatever the x value is, in this case 15 in parentheses, and make sure you close the parentheses before hitting enter. And write down the value, it gives you 112. So make sure again, you box the equation that they asked for and box the answer for the missing value. Number 4, find the quadratic equation that has a vertex of -5, 7, a directrix of y equals 2. Pay attention to the y values because that's all that is really necessary to focus on. So my vertex has a y value of 7. My directrix has a y value of 2. Clearly the vertex is higher up on a graph than the directrix. So this would be a case of FVD. Focus, vertex, directrix. Put your vertex coordinates. Write your equation for your directrix. Now the focus will have the same x value. We just need to figure out what the y value is going to be. To get from my directrix to my focus, I had to go up 5. So to get from my vertex to my focus, I would go up 5 again. So that means 7 plus 5 is 12. So that's my focal point. Now the total distance between my focus and my directrix is 10. Now this parabola is going to open up. It's going to open up because the focus is on top. So when I write my equation, I need to make sure I keep A positive. All right, So now to find A, we use the formula A is equal to 1 over 2 times the distance between focus and directrix. So in this case, that's 1 over 2 times 10, which is 1 over 20. So now we can write our equation. So our equation is y is equal to 1 over 20. Again, keep them as fractions, parentheses x plus 5, because when you're writing in vertex form, it's always x minus h plus k. And remember, h goes in the house and it lies. So if it's a negative 5, when it goes in the house, it turns into a positive 5. So don't forget that either. So that's x plus 5 squared and then plus 7 as a final answer for this problem. Number 5. Similar situation. This time we have a vertex and a focus. Our vertex is 9, 2. Our focus is 9, negative 1. So that means our vertex is higher up than our focus. So this is a case of D, V, F. Directrix, vertex, focus. Again, because the vertex is above the focus, so that means the directrix will be above the vertex. So I have 9, 2 as my vertex. I have 9, negative 1 as my focus. So let's count the distance. So the distance between negative 1 and 2 is plus 3. So the distance from these two should also be a plus 3. So that means my directrix would be y equals 3. I'm sorry. Oof, no. 5. Now this parabola is opening down. It's opening down because the focal point is below the vertex. So again, the focal point is where the parabola will look towards or point towards. So that's why it's opening down. So that means we need to make a positive. I'm sorry, negative. We need to make a negative. So again, the total distance between D and F this time is 6. So to find A, again, it's 1 over 2 times the distance. In this case, it's 1 over 2 times 6. So that means it's 1 over 12. So now I can write the equation because I have all the necessary pieces. So y is equal to negative 1 over 12. Again, it's negative because it's opening down, and it's opening down because the focal point is lower than the vertex. And then in parentheses, x minus 9 squared, and then plus 2 as a final answer. Let's take a break right here and resume in just a moment.